Hey, what's up guys? I'm gonna be doing a small tutorial for like a Marvel Legends neck mod or neck fix if you break the peg. Someone on Facebook had posted a picture of their broken Lady Deadpool, and I figured it was easier to make a video of it instead of explaining it in words, so I broke it exactly how he did. I broke it on purpose so I could show you. Now this is for if you break it at the loop of the neck peg. If you want another tutorial, usually for like the male figures or even female figures, if it breaks the ball off the loop, my buddy Brock Rivers, or Life with Brock on Instagram and YouTube, he put out a little tutorial. To sum it up, you can watch it, go watch it on his, but to sum it up, you drill down into here with a small bit and then drill down through the ball as well, and then put a rod in between it or a screw or something like that and connect it back. Anyways, this is for this part. So what the person did, they accidentally broke it off, I guess. So I'm gonna do, there's two ways of doing this. The second way will work better for male figures because normally their necks look like this instead of a loop. So the second way will work for males. This one is mostly for females. Mine, it might be a little different because I started customizing it. I gave her double jointed Princess Leia arms, and then I sculpted up the biceps more and gave it bicep swivel, and I also sculpted around all the black bands, so it might look different from the picture, which is right there. That was theirs. Alright, so the real quick way to do it is, see if it'll focus. There's a plastic, it's the same plastic as this, it's all one solid sculpt. You can, there's two ways. One, you could cut on both sides, take that piece out, and then you could take a small bit, usually like if you want the size of a toothpick, which is preferable, it's like a 5/64 bit. Then you would drill straight through. Actually, you should drill straight through prior to taking out that part. Then you cut on each side. I'll cut on one side because we need to do it for the one I'm going to show you. So you cut right down. Make sure you get all the way through that ring, but only cut that little ring in there. So do that to both sides if you want to do it the second way. But the way I'm doing it is you cut down the one side, and that's it for this right now. Then what you want to do, obviously you have a broken peg. You could, if you want to, you might not need to, you could rough up the edges depending on how the break is. I cut mine so it's more of a clean slice, but you can rough up each edge to make it easier to glue. And what I also recommend, since this will be weaker than it was prior as a solid cast, so what I recommend is taking off some of these little nubs. Those are the nubs that help hold it in place when it rotates. If you take a couple off so it's not as much friction, it shouldn't put that much stress on your glue points. So I'll take some off, and they're usually bigger on one side for at least mine. Okay, so I got them off. Alright, so I roughed off each edge. Then you could kind of do the same to the smaller piece, and you'll have to figure out which way it goes on. which way it fits together, I mean. And this is a freaking small peg. Alright, so you get some super glue. And basically all you need is super glue and a knife if you want to do it my first way, which is probably easier. You just get glue. Let me let it focus in. Put it on each side. And just a light amount. And then if you have tweezers, it makes this a lot easier. Obviously to hold the little tiny piece. You should probably do this before putting the glue on, but like I said, figure out which way your piece lines up. I think I got it the right way. Luckily it's part of a circle, so it doesn't really matter that much. Plus you kind of have a hexagon inside, you can line up a little easier. So it should stick pretty fast with super glue. This is, I want to say ABS or PVC. No, not PVC. It's like the ABS plastic. I could be wrong, but I believe it's ABS. It's a harder plastic. So that's pretty much all glued together. I'm gonna lightly sand it too, because when you do that while the glue is still wet, the lightly sanded particles not only does it make it smoother if it's not even, it also, some of that dust will merge with the glue and kind of fill a gap. You could also do it with larger pieces. I'll show you an example. Right now I'm doing, in the process, I made a Marvel Select shorter shins. I cut them off and shortened them. But I also gave him these thighs, which I'm going to sculpt. But what I was saying is, you could also use baking soda as a mixture with super glue to give it more of a structure and hold it in better like that. But for this, you shouldn't need it, because just a little sanding will kind of do the same thing. Alright, so that's pretty much together. Yep. And we'll let that dry. And remember, you could either do this first or after, but I'll show you again. You do the slice down either side, but only pick one for this way. Alright. It might be easier for you. I have a ring here, so it makes this next step harder. But you could either do this in hot water, like to soften it up and to make this easier. I might have a little next to me. But basically, in essence, you're gonna pry open the two sides, and you're gonna have only a peg sticking on one end, and then you're gonna stick the loop on that peg, and then you're gonna put a little dot of glue on the tip of that peg, and then press together the two neck pieces and hold it for a second, and then afterwards move this peg, rotate it back and forth to make sure the glue didn't stick this in place, only the peg. And then that's pretty much it. I'll show you. Okay, I just stuck it in cold water. That wasn't even hot. Okay, that was pointless. Oh, I had also made a rubber band and put some light paint on it to hold it, because she didn't have any holsters, so I put a rubber band on the back so it could hold the swords kind of loosely like that. That looks a lot better than just in the hands all the time. So yeah, so like I said, this is what I meant. It could pry open and you're only going to have one side that's cut. And you'll pry it open. It might be easier to pry it open with something else than your fingernails. So you pry it open like that. Stick this down while it's still soft and open. Okay, I just broke it. That is pretty... Keep in mind, yours will be easier than mine because I have this sculpted piece, which actually I didn't realize I could just pull it off now that I have it sculpted. So I'm going to have to redo that whole part. I'm going to have to re-glue it. I kind of pressed hard on it and forced it. What the heck am I doing? Okay. Alright, I had to cut because I had to talk to my mom, but plus I had a hard time lining this thing up, but I re-glued it again. I let it dry a little bit. What I could also just is, if I could find my X-Acto knife. That's a hexagonal peg. It's soft plastic, but to make it easier on yourself to slide the peg in, you could also take off some of the edges in that, which I'm gonna try to do now. Just so that whatever way you do try to slide the ring on, so that you don't stress it out. Circle going into hexagon, which is bigger than it, it will work out better for you. Cleaned up a little bit. Alright, so now, like I said, you pry it open a little bit like that, so that you could hopefully somewhat hold it in place. Then with the stronger side, meaning stronger the part that's not glued, squish it gently in there. And you could even help it in the bottom end gently again. If you need to use pliers, you can, but like I said, gently, because that's not that strong. Now that right there should basically hold it. See, like now I got it in. That right there should basically hold it. I think I just broke mine a little bit. But that right there should basically hold it. If you want to, before the peg is completely squeezed in, you could put a dab of glue on it and then squeeze it together. But like I said, this is pretty weak. But that should basically hold it in. I think I just broke mine a little bit again. I didn't let it dry in time, but the essence, you kind of get it. Just like that. Or if you did need to in the long run, you could glue this peg in, but not everyone wants to do that. The second way you could do it is to cut off both sides of the inside piece. Fix this ring like I told you, and cut off both sides, and you'll put that middle piece in the ring. Then you'll drill a hole straight through, probably the size of a toothpick. And once you let the piece dry, don't glue the inside piece to this ring. Just let it free float. It's the hexagon piece. So you'll stick that through, stick this in, and then you'll have a hole going all the way through, and then you could shove a toothpick straight through, or something stronger, a nail or something like that, and then shave off each side. So that's why I suggest the toothpick, because it's easier to slice the excess off and sand down. Then you could easily paint this red. This is like a fire engine type red, so it shouldn't be that hard to match. So yeah, but like that, it's basically fixed. I'm letting the part dry because my ring, it was pretty weak, and I didn't let it dry completely, so I'm gonna let that dry, but it should still work and stuff like that. So yeah.